Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. If you watch my channel with any kind of regularity, then you will know that I spend a huge amount of time unboxing miniatures, painting miniatures, assembling miniatures, reviewing miniatures. But that's not all I'm interested in. I'm actually interested in all aspects of gaming. I do card gaming, I do board gaming, I do miniatures gaming, skirmish gaming, war gaming, I do the lot. But it just so happens that most of my time on this channel seems to be spent at the moment talking about Games Workshop products. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to talk about Dragonwood. Why particularly do I want to talk about Dragonwood? Because a good friend of mine purchased this for my daughter for Christmas, and we've played it quite a lot since then, and I'm quite impressed with it. And I'm not sure I'm going to get around to writing a review of it anytime soon, if at all. So I thought, why not just make a little video instead and show it off? Because I think it's worth it. It's by Game Right, and it is a card game for, well, card and dice game. It says so right there. It's a game of dice and daring. It's for 2 to 4 players, and the age is 8+, and I would say that's pretty much on the nose in terms of age appropriateness. You could play it with younger children. I think my daughter turned 8 just before Christmas, and she grokked this straight away, and she really enjoys it. We have played it with my wife, and we have played it with my retired parents, and everybody understood it almost immediately and enjoyed it. And that's a good sign, sort of playing across the board. So what's it all about? It's about dragons in a wood and these hapless heroes. So it's a really simple game, but like I say, it's a lot of fun. It's by Game Right, so the production quality is pretty decent. You get a set of these dice, and it is worth noting, I did not know this to begin with, but these are custom dice. These dice do not go from 1 to 6. They go 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. So 4 is the maximum. The first time I played this game, we wondered why rolling 2d6 was very rarely, well, in fact, never generating a 7, which you would expect from rolling 2d6 on a regular basis. And yeah, a closer examination revealed that they only go up to 4. This is there's a reason for that. It's to sort of smooth out the randomness a little bit. It makes it a little bit harder to get those high end values, but also you can with a little bit more certainty predict what you're likely to roll, because you're not going to get those wild swings of rolling a 6 or a 1. You tend to level out the peaks and troughs. But anyway, so you get 6 of those custom dice. You get 2 of those reference cards, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then you get a deck of green cards and a deck of brownie ready cards. Brownie ready cards. And that is it. That's your lot. The brownie ready cards are heroes. These are the cards that form your hand, and you will be playing for the green cards, which are adventure cards. We'll look at the adventure cards in a moment, because we're going to talk about the hero cards first. So, there are 5 suits of hero cards. We've got cheeky elves, barbarians, wizards, priestesses, and warriors. And they go from 1 to 12. So 5 suits, 12 cards per suit. And like I say, these form your hand during the game. Everybody starts with a hand of 5 cards, and they will attempt to do various things with those cards. Let's draw a hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be my hand for demo purposes. I didn't pre-generate these hands, honestly. It's just a really good hand. These are the green adventure cards. At the start of the game, you will lay out a row of these, and these will be the adventures in Dragonwood that you will be attempting to overcome. There are 3 types of adventure card. Oh, look at that, as if by magic. There are green creatures, which always have these cute little pictures, like this hungry bar. It's like Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh gone wrong. And creatures have victory point value, 3 in this case. And then they have 3 values. They have a strike value, they have a stomp value, and a scream value. You then have enhancements or enchantments, like this magical unicorn. Every fantasy game needs a magical unicorn. These are similar to creatures in that you challenge them to overcome them, and they still have these values: a strike value, a stomp value, and a scream value. But when you claim them, they don't give you victory points, because obviously ultimately you're playing for victory points. But instead of victory points, they give you an always-on ability that you can use for the rest of the game. For in this case, it's add 1 point to all capture attempts. So when you're picking a challenge from the center of the table, you can go for creatures that will give you victory points, or you can go for enhancements which don't give you any victory points, but they will make it easier to get victory points in the later part of the game. So that's a decision point that you have to make. How many enhancements do you want to go for? Is it worth going for enhancements? Are you better off just pushing your luck and trying to get those victory points? The third type of card is an event, and those happen immediately when you draw them from the deck, and then you everybody does what it says on the card, and then you draw again to fill the center of the table back up. Because basically through the game you will have a series of these cards in the center of the table. We've got some wild boars, we've got a giggling goblin, we've got some fire ants, and we've got some crazy bats. So in this case we've got all creatures, but there might be some enhancements in there. Like I say, if you get an event, you draw the event, you resolve the event, and then that goes, and then you replace it. And on a player's turn, these would be here. These would be somewhere handy here, and these would be in my hand. And on a player's turn, you've got a choice of 2 things only. You can reload, which literally means taking an adventure card and adding it to your hand, or you can challenge from the center of the table. You can't have any more than 9 cards in your hand, so there's a natural cap on what you can do. Now, if you're going to challenge a card in the center of the table, you first have to try and create an attack combo. There are 3 types of attack combo which match the stats on the creature cards: strikes, stomps, and screams. So if you would like to do a strike, you need to play a number of cards that have sequential numbers. So in this particular hand, I could play 2, 3, and 4, because they are sequential numbers. They are numbers in a row, and they can be any colour. They don't have to be all green. Yeah, I could have used that blue one and done that as well, because as long as the numbers are sequential, that is a strike. The second type of attack you can do is a stomp, which is playing cards of the same number. So again, it doesn't matter what colour they are, you're just looking for cards of the same number. So I could play a 2, and a 2. And that would be a power 3 stomp. Finally, there is a scream. A scream is playing cards of the same colour. So again, I could actually play these 3 cards, which would also class as a strike, but I could use that as a scream instead, because all 3 cards are the same colour. Once you've decided what combo you're going to play, that determines your power level for your challenge. So in this case, this would be a power 3. And let's say I decide I'm going to use this as a strike. So this is a power 3 strike. I get 1 dice for each power. So this would give me 3 dice. The numbers themselves on the cards aren't related to the power that you're generating. They are solely for use in actually generating the combos. So playing 2, 3, 4 is actually just as good as playing 7, 8, 9. The numbers themselves, being higher value numbers, doesn't matter. You're not playing to look for the highest value numbers, you're just looking for those numbers that match or are sequential, or cards which are the same colour. The numbers on them being high or low doesn't matter. So this is a power 3, which gives me 3 dice. I've decided I'm going to do a strike, so I then look at the challenges available and I look at the strike values. This is strike 8 on these two, these are strike 7 on these two, and the crazy bats are strike 4. Strike 4 is obviously a lower value, but the crazy bats are only worth 1 experience point. The fire ants are worth 2, and the wild boars are worth 3. But I look at the cards and I think, well, what does this give me the best chance of succeeding at one of these challenges? And actually looking at the cards, I would actually be better off playing this as a scream rather than a strike, because a scream is any cards of the same colour, so the power level would be the same. 3 green is power 3, the same as 2, 3, 4 is a power 3 strike. So I'm actually going to choose Scream, and the reason I'm going to choose Scream is because this Giggling Goblin, which is 2 experience points, has a Scream value of 5, which is lower than the strike value of 7. Because what you want to do is you want to find the lowest number possible that you think you can achieve by rolling the dice. So in this case, I would be doing a Scream challenge on the Giggling Goblin, requiring 5 or more to win. I roll the dice. I rolled a 2, a 1, and just off camera, a 4. So I rolled 7 total, which means I have successfully defeated the Giggling Goblin. The Giggling Goblin goes into my experience point pile, and then we replace him in the track. And then it's the next player's turn. These cards get discarded because I've used them, so they're gone for this go. And if you fail in a challenge, obviously the creature stays, or the enchantment stays in the centre of the board. You don't lose all your cards. You take all your cards back into your hand, and then you choose 1 card from your hand to discard, and it doesn't have to be one of the cards you played. So in this case, if I failed, I take all these cards back, and I go, all right, well, I'll lose the purple wizard instead. He gets eaten by the Giggling Goblin, and that way I keep my combo of 2, 3, 4, because obviously that's a good combo that I might be able to build on in subsequent turns. And that is basically the game. The game will end in one of 2 ways. When you create the adventure deck, in the second half of the deck, there will be 2 dragons. Let's see if I can find them for you. Dragons. Blue dragon. So there's a blue dragon. Obviously they generate the most experience points. And there is an orange dragon. If at any point the 2 dragons have been defeated, the game immediately ends. Everybody adds up their experience points, and the person with the most experience points wins. Or victory points, I should say, not experience points. The other way the game can end is if you go through the adventure deck twice, which obviously takes quite a bit longer. It's a relatively fast-moving game. It perhaps plays a little bit... if people are playing very cautiously, it can take a little bit longer. If you get someone who's playing very aggressively and really chasing challenges, and it sort of encourages other people to chase them as well, because if you see someone start racking up experience points, it encourages you to start going for them yourself when you might otherwise be playing cagey, trying to get the best combos in your hand. If everybody keeps reloading cards into their hand turn after turn after turn, it can sort of stagnate a little bit. But if you're playing against aggressive players, it can move along at quite a nice clip. And that's it. That's the whole game. And it's fun. It's a good little filler game. Like I say, it can potentially outstay its welcome a little bit if people keep failing challenges, or people are playing it too safe, or the dice don't roll in their favour, or if, like we did in our very first game, not realising the dice don't go up to 6, we made a lot of attacks that we actually could never have succeeded in. For example, we were rolling 2 dice and trying to get a 9 because we were thinking it was possible, but obviously it wasn't, because the maximum you can get on 2 dice is 8, and even that's quite unlikely. So that's something to be aware of. I understand why they did this with the dice, to like even out those odds a little bit, to make it so that you get less of a it focuses the scores more towards the center values rather than the outliers, and that makes it a little bit easier to predict what you're going to get. But it also means that it takes longer to be able to generate the combos to play for the high level creatures. So it does have the potential to slow the game a little bit. And I guess that's the biggest complaint about the game, is the potential that it may go just a little bit too long. But if everybody's playing at a good pace and people aren't spending forever looking at their different combinations and going, oh, do I do this, or should I do this, or should I do this? There's not really a lot of room for analysis paralysis in this game, but you will always find people who will find a way. But yeah, like I say, I've played this with my daughter, who was 8, and she really enjoyed it. I've played it with my wife. I've played it with my parents, who are retired. They all got on with it. They all learned it really well. And the day after I taught it to my daughter, she taught it to other family members. So she picked it up to the degree where she was able to actually teach somebody else to play it the very next day. So it really is. It's definitely, aimed at that. It is a children's game, but I think parents and adults can enjoy it too. And I guess that's really all I've got to say about it, really. It's a nice, fun little game, and it's got really, really cool artwork, which I like a lot. Nothing more than that, really. A simple filler. I guess a little bit like this video. If you enjoyed watching this, if I know it's a bit of a change of pace from the sort of coverage I normally do on the channel, let me know in the comments. If I don't tend to do too many video reviews, because there's always something that I tend to overlook, and I prefer to do written reviews, because it gives me a chance to really drill into what I like and don't like, and explain in a little bit, possibly a more lucid fashion than my random gabbling on the internet. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this sort of coverage, or whether I should just stick to those miniatures. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye for now, everybody. Bye bye.